The Demistifier is a portable isolation chamber. It is simple to use. It is adaptable for use where treatment is needed, in the clinic, in the hospital room, in the nursery. It protects healthcare workers and other patients by trapping potentially toxic aerosolized drug particles and airborne bacteria from infectious patients. It returns clean, filtered air to the room. The Demistifier removes the need for external venting or specially designated isolation rooms. It is a local exhaust system which meets or exceeds every safety guideline recommended by federal, state, and private health organizations. Inherent in their delivery systems, aerosolized drugs can leak into the environment. This is true for pentamidine, used for prophylactic treatment of pneumocystis carinii pneumonia, and for ribavirin, used primarily to treat small children for respiratory syncytial virus. The consensus statement issued by the American Association for Respiratory Care says that although more data is needed to quantify or dismiss risk for caregivers, organ damage may result from long-term exposure to aerosolized pentamidine and ribavirin. For the short term, Cal OSHA reported that during and after administering pentamidine, healthcare workers complain of moderate to severe chest tightness, coughing, stuffy nose, burning eyes, headaches, and other reactions. Concern is also focused on exposure to infectious disease, particularly tuberculosis. Chest, the Physician's Journal, reported TB transmission to healthcare workers exposed to a patient whose symptom and test screens masked the presence of TB. The CDC warns that TB should be suspected in all HIV-infected patients and that these patients be isolated until the suspicion is proven wrong. For TB testing, the CDC recommends a minimum of 3 sputum inductions. To minimize risk of occupational exposure to aerosolized drugs and infectious disease, the Centers for Disease Control, NIOSH, OSHA, Cal OSHA, the Massachusetts Department of Health, and the American Association of Respiratory Care all recommend, among other measures, that during cough-inducing procedures, patients be isolated or treated in negative pressure rooms, and that room air be filtered through a HEPA filter before being recirculated. The fact sheet for the Service Employees International Union goes further. Better ventilation will not fully protect you from exposure to aerosolized pentamidine and TB. Only local exhaust systems, booths, and tents offer that protection. The Demistifier is an instant solution. It is a small version of a negative pressure treatment room with a full-size HEPA filtration system. Airborne bacteria are scavenged within seconds. The optional bed frame makes it a self-contained isolation room for use in any room, not just specially engineered ones, which can eliminate the practice of using a double room to isolate a single patient. Air changes 180 times each hour in the bed enclosure, far exceeding the CDC recommendations for isolation rooms, yet comfortable for the patient. The substantial flow assures negative pressure even when access ports are open to care for the patient. A second enclosure can be in operation in the same room at the same time, as is done in treatment areas where one or more demistifiers effectively isolates each patient. The Demistifier works like this. Its fan creates negative pressure by drawing room air upward from the bottom of the clear vinyl canopy, as this demonstration with smoke shows. The air in the canopy changes 4 to 6 times a minute, or 240 to 360 times an hour, 60 times better than recommended standards. The air passes through the Demystifier's filter pack, which is 99.99% effective in cleaning the air of particles as small as 0.3 microns in diameter, exceeding the minimum standards set by the Centers for Disease Control. At the core of the filter pack is a HEPA filter, which is individually tested and scanned to ensure its efficacy, meeting standards set by the Institute of Environmental Sciences. It traps drug particles and bacteria 3 times better than non-scanned HEPA filters used in other air filtering systems. An inexpensive gross filter extends the life of the HEPA filter by capturing dust drawn into the canopy, and a charcoal filter catches drugs in the vapor phase. Independent studies show the configuration works. NIOSH, the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, a division of the CDC, conducted studies with both ribavirin and pentamidine. The studies concluded that detectable levels of ribavirin were consistently found in the urine of nurses following occupational exposure, and that eye and respiratory irritation have been associated with occupational exposure to aerosolized pentamidine. The NIOSH investigators tested various exposure-minimizing methods and included the Demistifier in their studies using genuine Peace Medical Factory parts. For ribavirin, NIOSH HETA study number 91-104, issued January 1992, says, administration with the aerosol delivery hood alone resulted in statistically significant greater exposures than the aerosol delivery hood demistifier combination. Their investigation found that the demistifier lowers exposure measured by breathing zone concentrations for both respiratory therapists and nurses. Even with engineering controls functioning 3 times better than the CDC recommends, the study showed the demistifier cleaned the air 6 times better than the engineering controls alone. With an optional taller mast and shorter boom, the demistifier can accommodate a crib with a croup frame. A special canopy that has slits on 3 sides is used to provide airflow and access to the patient during long-term treatments. The NIOSH report emphasizes the importance of following a strict protocol. 5 minutes before routine patient care, the drug aerosol generator should be turned off, but the demistifier should remain on. This further ensures that all drug particles are scavenged. For pentamidine, NIOSH tests with the demistifier in HETA study number 91-187 show that the drug concentration inside the demistifier was relatively low compared to an isolation booth marketed by another manufacturer, indicating that the demistifier rapidly scavenged the pentamidine aerosol. Results showed that during a 30-minute treatment, no concentrations were detected outside the demystifier's scavenging tent, none near the HEPA outlet of the tent, none outside the door of the treatment room, and none in the nurse's personal breathing zone test. Prior to treatment, the demystifier's fan and filter unit is switched on. The patient gets comfortable and begins treatment. The healthcare worker is protected, yet has easy access to the patient if help or instruction is needed. Once treatment is over, the caregiver leaves the demystifier on, pulls the drawstring on the bottom of the canopy to close it, rolls it up, takes the canopy from its supports, disengages it from the filter and fan unit, and discards it without touching the contaminants inside. Then a disinfectant is wiped, not sprayed, on the stainless steel mesh and sides of the filter pack housing. Assembly is easy. The filter and fan unit is shipped in one box. The other box contains the bottom support with wheels, the main mast, the canopy boom, 3 steel canopy supports, and 6 standard canopies. The main mast slips on the bottom support. The filter and fan unit slips onto the main mast. Then the canopy boom slips onto the filter and fan unit. The main frame is now assembled. To attach the disposable canopy, slide the canopy supports onto the canopy boom. Use the thumb screw on the boom to secure the support nearest the mast. A slip bolt on the boom allows it to be collapsed for storage. The vinyl canopy is attached by twice looping the rubber straps on the canopy to the tips of the canopy supports. The demistifier is ready for use. No technical knowledge is needed beyond locating the on switch. Lights on the control panel indicate when a filter needs changing. The estimated life of the HEPA filter is 2,000 hours of use. The charcoal filter is on a 1,000-hour battery timer. A filter change takes about 5 minutes. The power switch should be off. Use a screwdriver to access the latches at the top of the filter and fan unit. The front of the unit flips down on its bottom hinges. Remove the used filters and replace them with new ones. When replacing the charcoal filter, also install a new AAA battery for the timer. The battery holder is on the bottom inside of the housing. Lift the front into place, relatch it, and use the screws to replace the protective covers. The demistifier can be customized to any international electrical standard. All warranties remain in effect only when genuine Peace Medical factory replacement parts are used. Copies of independent reports showing the need for and value of the demistifier are available on request. For further information or to place an order, call 1-800-537-9564. Peace Medical is at 50 South Center Street, Unit 11, Orange, New Jersey, 07050. The chairman of Peace Medical guarantees your complete satisfaction.